Steam just did something that most people thought was impossible. While the rest of the tech world is talking about a cool down in consumer spending, Valve just reported its most successful month in the history of the platform. In December 2025 alone, Steam generated a massive $1.6 billion in gross revenue. To put that number into perspective, that is a 22.7% increase over December 2024. But to understand why this is a power move, we have to look at the ladder Valve climbed to get here. Back in 2020, at the height of the global lockdowns, Steam hit what everyone thought was a permanent ceiling of $1.4 billion. Analysts said we wouldn't see those numbers again for over a decade, and for a while they were right. But then the momentum shifted. December 2024 climbed to $1.3 billion, and now Valve hasn't just edged past their pandemic record, they broke it by $200 million. We are witnessing the Steam platform evolve from a dominant storefront into an untouchable ecosystem. In fact, by the time the clock struck midnight on December 31st, Steam's total revenue for 2025 hit an estimated $17.7 billion. Before we zoom in on Steam, we have to look at the bigger picture. The global games market in 2025 was a monster. According to Newzoo, the industry reached $197 billion in total revenue. That is a 7.5% year-over-year growth. While mobile and consoles are doing well in their respective space, the real story of 2025 is the PC market. PC gaming generated $43 billion just this year, growing at a rate of 10.4%. As we discussed in our last video, the revenue isn't just flowing to the standard $70 AAA games. In fact, many of this year's biggest safe sequels were met with mixed reviews and bad reception. Just look at the platinum tier for 2025. While Battlefield 6 and Monster Hunter Wilds made the list, they are sharing the stage with indie breakouts like Schedule 1 and Silksong, proving that the marketing machine of a giant publisher is no longer a requirement for success. Just making a game that people want to play is. The most telling stat is that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 didn't even make the top 10 on PC revenue. On Steam, Black Ops 7 saw an 82% drop in sales compared to last year's entry. PC players are clearly looking for something different. They are rejecting the $70 yearly roster update model and gravitating towards games that offer genuine innovation, whether that's a AA hit like Arc Raiders or an indie masterpiece that costs half the price. At the end of the day, Steam is the one who benefits of this trend, especially as it's the home for indie titles. While other platforms are struggling with hardware shortages or declining subscription numbers, Steam is just growing. On January 4th, 2026, the platform hit a new all-time peak of 41.8 million concurrent users. To give you an idea of how fast that's moving, the pre-pandemic peak was only 19 million. Valve has more than doubled its active user base in just a few years. But now let's talk about that $1.6 billion from December. According to Alinea Analytics, Steam has already cleared $16.2 billion in revenue by mid-November. But by the time the winter sale ended, Valve had finished 2025 as its best year ever. But where did that $1.6 billion come from in December? It wasn't just the big AAA hits. It was a combination of live service giants and strategic holiday discounting. The standout performer of the holiday season was undoubtedly Arc Raiders. In the final 2 weeks of the year, it sold 1.2 million copies on Steam alone. Across all platforms, Arc Raiders has now crossed the 12 million unit mark, with 7 million of those sales coming from Steam. What's fascinating about Arc Raiders is how it maintained that momentum. While Battlefield 6 saw a massive launch, its player retention began to decrease. Arc Raiders actually grew its daily active users throughout the sale, hitting a record 3.2 million players on January 4th. However, even with those massive numbers, Arc Raiders only ranked second in total revenue. The top spot still belongs to Counter-Strike 2. This highlights Valve's secret sauce. They own Steam, and they own the most profitable games on the platform, which generates them $1 billion in case and skin sales. This leads to one of the the most insane statistics in the tech world, Valve currently operates with roughly 336 employees. Based on their estimated 2025 earnings of $4 billion in commissions and game sales, Valve is generating over $50 million in revenue per employee. For comparison, Apple generates about $2.4 million per employee, and Google generates about $1.9 million. While Microsoft and Sony spent 2025 laying off thousands of people to fix their costs, Valve is making more money than ever with a team smaller than many single AAA game studios. One of the most interesting parts of the December report is the volume sellers. These are games that might not make the most revenue for the year, but they bring a massive influx of new players into a developer's ecosystem. Now, it's important to remember Steam doesn't set these prices. While Valve runs Steam, the developers and publishers are the ones deciding the sales. And in December 2025, they were incredibly aggressive. Just look at Detroit Become Human. It sold nearly 1 million copies, 993,000 to be exact, during the winter sale. This happened because the publisher chose to drop the price to $4, the steepest discount the game has ever seen on Steam. Then you have the team behind Icarus, who dropped their price from $35 all the way down to $3, moving 735,000 copies in a matter of days. It's a win-win. The players get an incredible deal, and the publishers gain a massive fresh audience just in time for their next big project. Steam simply provides the perfect stage for these developers to execute that growth with their large seasonal sales. The most prominent example of this is Slay the Spire. The developers dropped the price to just $2, selling nearly 600,000 copies in 2 weeks. They didn't just do this for a quick cash grab. They did it because Slay the Spire 2 is officially entering early access in March 2026. So by making the entry barrier for the first game lower than a cup of coffee, they are ensuring that 500,000 new fans are primed and ready to buy the sequel at full price the moment it drops. And the final piece of the puzzle is hardware. We cannot talk about Steam's growth without talking about the Steam Deck. 3 years after it launched, the deck is still a powerhouse in the market. Although Valve recently discontinued the LCD model and are sticking to OLED only, global estimates put the sales between 4 million and 5.6 million units. While that might seem small compared to the 150 million Nintendo Switches out there, you have to look at the handheld PC niche. The Steam Deck is outselling its closest competitor, the Asus ROG Ally, by a massive margin. It has become the default way to play PC games on the go, largely because it is so deeply integrated into the Steam library. With Valve's new hardware coming this year, this is the final move for total market dominance. PlayStation and Xbox are walled gardens. The Steam machine is an open platform. If you buy a Steam machine, you already have your entire Steam library of thousands of games waiting for you on day one. You don't have to pay for a pro subscription just to play online. So Steam isn't just a storefront anymore. With over $16 billion in revenue and 41 million concurrent users and new hardware on the horizon, the gap between Steam and everyone else is just getting bigger. As we look toward the rest of 2026, the question isn't if Steam will grow, but how far will it go? The December 2025 numbers show us that the PC market is healthier than it has ever been. It's a platform where a new title can find 500,000 new fans in a week. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to stay updated.